Gästrike sheep are a conservation breed in Sweden named after the region they were first discovered in. Although only a few flocks existed in the 1990s, they have since been established as a distinct breed. Today, there are 25 flocks with 173 breeding ewes, according to the Swedish Sheep Breeders Association. These cuddly sheep are known for their ability to graze in tight vegetation, making them ideal for forest grazing. As a heritage breed, Gästrike sheep have a heterogeneous wool with no specific breeding standards for fleece characteristics. Their wool is predominantly of rya type, with roughly equal amounts of outer coat and undercoat fibers. The wool is available in white, gray, black, brown, or spotted, and its colors can lighten with age. As you can see clearly, it is a dual coat with a soft undercoat and a coarser outer coat. Though the outer coat looks coarse, it may be more of a medium grade. It's actually pretty soft. The feel of the lock is lightweight and airy, and you can also see the color and staple length difference in one full fleece. Let's scour, process, and spin some of this really pretty wool. All right, let's scour some of this. I have a hot bowl of water, and the fleece I have has some beige and gray, and then also has some dark gray. So I'm probably going to be doing a couple different bowls since I didn't get a very big vessel. I'm going to be using unicorn scour for this one. So let's add a little soap. And then we're just going to put some in there. All right, we'll go ahead and let that scour, but this is really a cool fleece. I just wanted to kind of show you up close. This is the outer coat. This is the inner coat. It does look like it has some guard hairs, but they're really not guard hairs. It's just the outer coat coming into the inner coat, but it's really soft and it's super lightweight. This is going to be really pretty. I'm going to opt to card this, I think, just because the inner coat is a little bit on the short side. So I think I'm going to card it like I would an Icelandic. So it would make, well, it's not called a lopi yarn because that's a characteristic of Icelandic sheep, but I'm going to just make a yarn of both layers, and we'll take a look in a little while. Let me go ahead and scour this, dry it, and then we'll prep it and come on back. I wanted to come back and show you something. I mean, this has been in the water for literally 5 minutes, but you got to check this out. Look how dirty this is. I would have never guessed that this was that dirty. I can't wait to see what it looks like, because usually when there's a lot of dirt on it, the fiber is not the color it looks like when it's raw. I can't wait to see it. So I opted to card both layers because that's what I would do with Icelandic, and this sort of reminds me of Icelandic, so that's my first decision. I need to fluff up all those locks before I put it through the drum carder, and then I feed the picked fiber into my drum carder in thin layers. This is the bat after 2 passes. It's nice and smooth. Let's check it out. This is what the bat looks like. Everything is mixed really well. You can see the dark fibers and the light fibers, and it became a little bit more light gray. When I sample any fiber, I always do 2 preps, 2 different kinds of preps. The drum carded was woolen, and now the wool combs are worsted. I'm loading the combs with the cut end first. So the inner coat is on the combs and the long coat, or the outer coat, is towards me. And I start combing. By the way, the combs I'm using are wool and woodwork. I absolutely love these combs. I use them for fine grades, coarse grades, whatever I have, these combs can handle it. They're fantastic. All right, so I'm going to load this back onto the first comb, and then we are going to diz it off into a combed top. All right, now we're dizzing this off into a comb top, and I have to use a diz. I have so many different dizzes. I have clay, wood, glass, all sorts of different ones. But this one is a wood one. You can stick your finger through the hole and pull it. It's more of an ergonomic diz. I really like it a lot. Let's get that put through that hole and pull it through the other side. And then once I start dizzing, it's going to take off the outer coat first, or the long fibers first, and then it's going to disc off the shorter coat or the inner coat. Here's the comb top. You can see the darker fibers first, which is the outer coat, and then the inner coat is on the other end. This is a really nice way to separate dual coated wools. This was a very interesting study, to say the least, because I learned so much from this fiber, and honestly, I'm not sure I'm going to use it again unless I'm making a really hard wearing rug or some other outer garment that's very hard wearing. And I always tell people to sample and try different breeds and see what happens. Okay, this is the first one. This was the drum carded, both coats, and I did long draw on this one. But as you can see, this is pretty hairy. I mean, it's so hairy and it's so prickly. I don't know if I'd really like making a sweater out of that. And I don't know if you can see, but you'll see in a little bit, these outer hairs sort of break off. So I'm wondering if maybe there is some Kemp in those long fibers. Okay, this was the drum carded, both coats. And this one I did a worsted draw. This was long draw, so this is woolen. This is worsted, but a woolen prep, so it's semi-woolen. But this also has a lot of hairs to it. Look at that. Ooh, I don't like it. I don't like that. Though this is not quite as prickly as this one, but definitely not next to the Skin Soft. All right, so then I thought, well, let me comb this and see if that makes a difference. This is the outer coat combed, and you can see that it still has those little hairs. Let's see if you could see that. See the hairs? Though it's much smoother. This was spun worsted draw, so it was a worsted prep, worsted draw, so it's a worsted yarn. This is the inner coat combed and also worsted drawn, but it also has those fuzzy pieces to it. Maybe it's a characteristic of the wool that these hairs run all through it, but I would have to say, I'm not sure if you would classify this as next to the Skin Soft, and it almost seemed to feel a little coarser or rougher in yarn form than it did in the lock form. This was a very interesting study, and you can always gain so much information. I always tell people, get a small amount and do a sample before you buy a full fleece, because if I bought a full fleece of this, I'd be like, ooh, I'm not sure I know what to do with it. All right, so that's Just Streak from Sweden, and it's in the spinning box in October 2023. And thank you for watching, and please subscribe to my channel.